How are you today? It's Jeremy Ashburn with PushLeads, and I help businesses get more leads with less struggle. And what we're doing in this little video is just answering the question, what is an SEO audit? So let's get into it. So my background, for those of you guys who don't know me, is that I went to school for graphic design back in the early aughts. And when WordPress came out in 2005, I began making websites because it became easy to build websites around 2005. And by 2007, more of my websites were at the top of Google. I was doing these experiments and I realized, hey, if you're not at the top of Google, then you're basically invisible. So I started teaching myself how to get websites to the top of Google. One of my experiments was generating $20,000 of business a month. Not for me, but for Amazon, and I was making about $5K from that. So I was like, man, this is pretty awesome. I decided to go off on my own and created my PushLeads company, and I've been doing this for this is my 13th year. So anyway, that's sort of my background in a nutshell, but let's talk about what an SEO audit is. So an SEO audit is essentially just a report. Here's one from 2022. And this is a report of how your website is doing in Google. So let's jump into it here. Essentially, it's a report of your website's SEO. It's usually low cost or it's free to do. And depending on the audit, it can skim the surface or it can dive super deep. The audit gives you a lot of information. It helps you create an SEO strategy. So it's really important. It's a great amount of information. And what does it look at? Well, basically it looks at different things like what's going on with your on-page SEO, the stuff on your website, how fast is your site loading, how many other connections are coming from other websites, which we call off-page SEO, and then also where are you in Google Maps. It can look at things like keyword rankings, online reviews, competitor analysis, and also your social media. So here's one I did for a sort of a vein removal, skin care, vein removal, med spa kind of situation. And so this is the website. The audit gives me scores on a scale of essentially 1 to 10. You can see here the red areas in this audit are areas that need to be improved. The yellow areas are areas that are doing okay, and then the green areas are the ones that are doing amazing. The on-page SEO is not so good. The site isn't loading really fast. It's not really showing up in Google. There isn't really any other websites connecting to that. That's what we call the off-page optimization. The visibility, it's showing up in some places online because there's some other connections from business listings. It's got some reviews, that's good there. The website itself really doesn't show up really well compared to competitors, and then they are doing social. So that's kind of the overview. And then if I look here, it will tell me what's going on, what are the major issues, the high priority issues. In this case, there are 4 duplicate titles on the website. There's no Google Analytics installed on the website, so that's not good. And there's something called schema, which is telling Google if you're a local business. That's missing. And on the medium quality issues or medium priority problems, it's missing alt tags, so descriptions of images that Google looks at. And then if we look here, the offsite SEO, if we look here, the mobile site speed is relatively slow here. So essentially the site is not loading as fast on a mobile phone, and that's super important because if you have a mobile phone, you really want to show up super fast. You want that site to load super fast in people's hands on their phones. People will only give your site about maybe 2 to 5 seconds to load. Really, it should be down to 2 seconds if possible. If it doesn't load that fast, then thanks for playing. And this little data here just tells me, hey, this is taking about 3 seconds to load. Still too long. Depending on how you look at it, it can be more than 20 or 30 seconds before you can actually interact with the site. So guarantee you that people that are coming to the site really aren't staying on it because it takes too long to load. The desktop speed is a little faster. We're getting basically a 50 to 89. You want this really as close to 100 as possible. So that's a little better. But again, desktop is only, what, 10% of the traffic. 90% of us are really looking at things on the phone. And this is also saying here that it's about 5 seconds before it becomes interactive, and it loads in about 3 seconds. So essentially what I looked up here for these guys is I looked up common search phrases in Google. So they do things like microneedling, Botox cosmetics, and I can see here that on this page there are two terms, the microneedling and Botox cosmetics. There are two terms that are sort of at the top of Google, which is technically position 1, 2, or 3. And so that's good, but if they care about facials near me, or laser, vein removal, or cool sculpting, then none of those searches are on Google's first page. And if they're not there, or they're not at the top of Google, then it's really you're missing out an opportunity there. If I look here at the off-page SEO, this is essentially connections from other websites. Essentially what this is saying here is that the overall reputation is low. These numbers are telling me the overall reputation is low. This is saying here that the homepage of the website has a higher reputation. It's got about 3,000 links. Only about 73 of those are actually quality links, quality connections from other websites. And then this other tool, Ahrefs, is telling us how many other connections from other websites, 29, 9 different .coms connecting to them. So this might look like all gibberish to you, but essentially we look at all this and we get a sense of how strong your website is. And if it is strong, then you can show up higher in Google. And then Google Maps. So essentially, if you want to show up in Google Maps, you need other businesses, other business directories connecting to you. So this is saying here that essentially 3 of these 8 directories, this business is in them. They're on Google, Bing, and Yelp, but they're not. If we didn't find them on Facebook, they might be there. They're not in these other places, and so they need to be in more directories. And it's saying here that they have 5 reviews from Google and 3 reviews from Facebook. So that's good. Obviously, we need more reviews from Google, especially if they want to compete locally. And then this is just a whole bunch of data telling us the competitor metrics, basically. And this is looking at them here compared to a couple other local companies. So if I look here at some of these metrics, these guys only have like 61 other connections or other links from websites, versus another competitor really has 475. These ones here really don't count because they're directories, they're not like local med spas. So I'm really just looking at this metric here, and I'm looking at basically here that their reputation, the main competitor has like 3 or 4 times more connections that are high quality, juice passing links, and then they have double the amount of total links ish, or 1.5 times. And they only have 9 other websites connecting to them versus essentially 75 from a competitor. So a lot can be done to improve this med spa if they want to show up in Google. From a social perspective, we found them on Facebook. Social doesn't really influence Google as much. It might be like a 5 or 10% bump if you're on social at the most. But social really helps Google. Social can indirectly influence Google. If someone finds you on Facebook and then they come to your website and they spend time on your website, then that time, that's called dwell time, the longer that is, that helps SEO. So that's how social can help, but social doesn't directly help SEO at most. So that's kind of what I just went over here, is the on-page SEO, what's going on the website, how fast the site's loading, where it's showing up in Google, connections from other websites, how visible is it, its reviews and a competitive analysis, and then also their social media. Now, if you want to learn more, you would just go to the link below in the description of this video, and you can do that if you want to learn more. If you want to see how your site is doing, you can go to pushleads.com and do a free SEO audit, and this will do it in about 15 to 20 seconds, and boom, you'll start getting some data. So I recommend you do that. Even if you have an SEO company that's doing work for you, it's always good to do an audit, because an audit, you can send this to them and say, hey, can you work on these things? The audit will tell them things they can work on. The other problem is that you have people, a lot of times people in SEO, they're not doing all of the work. They're doing some of the work, or a 10% of the work, or none of the work. I'm really big into the whole thing called ethical marketing, which means that, hey, I'm not going to help you unless I know I can help you. So if you want to meet with me, you can click on go to pushleads.com/learn more, and that will give you more information. You can set up a meeting with me on that page. And basically what I would do is do the research with you together, and we figure out, can I actually help you? If the research says, yes, I can help you, then we'd book a session. If the research says, no, your competition is so strong and your budget is just not there, no way, I can't help you. So I'll just be completely honest with you whether I can help you or not. And that's what ethical marketing is. So I hope you consider meeting with me. And then as far as what we do at PushLeads, we've been in business for 13 years. So we do digital strategy, we do Google Ads, which is PPC management, we do SEO services, we do social media, we do remarketing, targeting other websites, other people in different places online, and we also do web design. And our ideal clients are local companies that provide a service. We do some e-commerce. If you're getting some leads and you want more, that's helpful, and you want to make an investment to grow. And obviously I have a lot of case studies that show results. Really what we care about here is, are more people coming to your website? Are they doing more actions on your website? Are they spending more time on your website? And then ultimately, are you showing up higher in Google? Are you going from 10 to 20 keywords to the top of Google, or 5 to 20? We also do things like this where we measure where you are in Google, and this is sort of a metric showing that we went from 6% all the way up to 24% for this one client. The more you have in Google, the higher this moves up. This is what's called visibility. So you can see here we started from like what, 7 or 6% all the way up to 24%. And really, realistically, the yellow here shows that we started with basically 3 at the top of Google, and then we ended up with 15 at the top of Google for this particular client. And so really what it comes down to is getting more and more at the top of Google. All right, well, I hope that you enjoy this. I'm Jeremy Ashburn with PushLeads, and I help businesses get more leads with less effort. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.